it was okay. Flying by the seat of my pants, guys. By the end, I kind of fucking hated her. Well, hello. Welcome back to my channel. Joshana here to talk about some friggin' books. I am recording a few videos right now, and I said in the last one that apologies if you can hear any ruckus happening. I have some dudes here doing some work on my house outside, so we might hear some clanging about. Apologies. I have a few books to talk about today that I have recently read, and several of them I already talked about in like a vlog kind of thing I did, so I won't talk too in-depth about them, probably, I say, because who knows, really. I also did an individual book review for one of these as well that I think is up already, probably, should be. I don't know, we'll see. I don't know my own upload schedule. Flying by the seat of my pants, guys. Okay, the first one and the first couple that I'll talk about are part of the Like City of Girls vlog that I did. It was a list of books that were supposedly similar to City of Girls, if you like that book, which I do. So I thought, hey, let me check these out. The first one I picked up was The Dollhouse by Fiona Davis. I read this from the library. And Fiona Davis is a well-known name in historical fiction. I actually had never read any of her books, but I've seen them all over. And this happens to actually be her debut. So that's fun that the first Fiona Davis I read was her debut. And I did read part of this physically, but I also got the audiobook, and I can't remember where from. Audible, was it? Yes, I did get it from Audible with one of my credits. So I listened to most of it on audiobook, I would say, but it was about like 60-40. And this one it was okay. It was fine, I guess. The premise is this hotel in New York. What was it called? I don't even remember. The Barbizon Hotel for Women. And it says, where in the 1950s, a generation of aspiring models, secretaries, and editors lived side by side while attempting to claw their way to fairy tale success, and where a present-day journalist becomes consumed with uncovering a dark secret buried deep within the Barbizon's glitzy past. So we have some chapters from the modern-day character, Rose, and then other chapters are from Darby's perspective back in the 1950s. And yeah, so that's the setup. And there's like a thing that happened back in the day, and in the present day with Rose, some of the women who live in the hotel, because now it's like not a hotel, it's apartments, and there are women who live there who lived there in the 1950s, and Darby is one of them. Darby still lives there to this day, and there was an incident where supposedly someone was killed back in the 1950s, and so Rose is investigating this whole thing, and Darby is at the center of it. And Rose was kind of annoying and ridiculous. She had a whole drama going on with her boyfriend that turned out to be kind of a piece of shit, and it was just, I don't know. I didn't love what was going on with her and how she was behaving. She was just truly a ridiculous person. And Darby was painfully naive and gullible, my God. There was a girl, Esme, that she befriended, or that Esme befriended Darby, and multiple people kept telling her, hey, maybe don't hang out with Esme. Like, people she trusted, people she knew, people who were nice to her, kept telling her, like, I would not, she's trouble. And she just kept being like, no, she's nice to me. She's my friend. It's like, girl, if many, many people are telling you this, I think you should probably listen, and she just didn't. And the plot felt a little bit helter-skelter to me as well. There's a thing that happens toward the end with Esme, that she does something for money, and it's just something that I don't believe this character would do. She is a Puerto Rican woman living in, like, the projects, basically. Like, she's really, like, clawing her way to a better life, and yeah, she does something that I don't think a person from that background would do. I don't buy it. It did not feel authentic that this character would do this thing. And all of the women had to end up with a man in the end, and I didn't love that either. Like, that's fine to do that, but like in a romance, of course, there's always a happily ever after. But this, I mean, there's a romance in it, but it's not a romance novel, and it's like I wouldn't have minded. There's one relationship that that was fine. I wouldn't have had any kind of like But there's another one that I'm like, I kind of hate this. I kind of hate this, but whatever. And the writing style was perfectly fine. I think it's a perfectly serviceable historical fiction. And yeah, it was a quick read that I didn't hate as far as my enjoyment level. I enjoyed it like slightly higher than average, but not really, I guess. I don't know. I ended up giving it 3.25. It was fine. And then the next one I picked up was Lions of Fifth Avenue by Fiona Davis. And this one I did own. I had a copy, but I DNF'd it basically. How far did I get into it? I did not write that down. Let me check. I got 36% of the way into this. And then I did technically finish it, but like not really. I heavily skimmed the final like 60% just because there was a mystery that we were following, and I was just curious about what the big reveal was of this mystery. 'Twas disappointing, so I'm glad I didn't really read it. Yeah, I just didn't really care about what was going to happen. Didn't really care enough about the characters to want to see the details of everything. Didn't like what the main character was doing, her life choices. Was not a fan. I will just say in this book, content warnings for very minor, I guess, or like on the talked about, like sexism is pretty prevalent. Minor warning for child abuse. A kid gets smacked pretty hard and like manhandled at one point. So there's that. And then some homophobia, lesbophobia specifically, like nasty things said in one scene, infidelity on the page. Not that infidelity is like justified ever, but it's like really there's no justification for me. Oops. And also suicide. So be aware of all that. And yeah, I don't know. It was fine what I did read, but not fine enough to make me want to continue. So DNF. And then the other one was The Showgirl by Nicola Harrison. This one I had such high hopes for. When I first started it, my notes were like, oh yeah. Because for me, the biggest thing with City of Girls, there's like the premise of the older woman telling her life story, historical, back in the 1940s, 1950s, early 20th century time. Kind of a naive, sheltered girl going and like getting into like the seedy underbelly of New York City, like entertainment lifestyle. All that stuff. And some of these books had those elements. This one had those elements too, but the biggest thing that would make something really like City of Girls for me is the authorial voice, the writing style. And again, no shade to Fiona Davis, but just does not have that same authorial voice. This one, when it started, kind of did. It was closer, and I was like, hell yeah, great. And it's following a showgirl who goes to New York, and things happen, whatever. She wants to make it big, and she ends up in the Ziegfeld Follies, so she is making it big. And I was really enjoying following this main character, Olive. She had something happen when she was younger. She was sexually assaulted, and this is like right in the first like chapter or two, which resulted in a pregnancy that she gave the baby up for adoption, okay? And then she goes off to New York to like live her big dreams. Her family is very against it. They're like, you can't be a showgirl, that's scandalous, and like you can't find a good husband. And she's like, I don't care, I don't want a husband, whatever. But yeah, so I was very excited at the beginning, and I read it partially physically and partially on audio. And at first, Olive was fun. She was sassy, she was vivacious, I was enjoying her. I was like, yeah, Olive is great. By the end, I kind of fucking hated her. Kind of a lot. Like, fucking hated Olive. And again, the atmosphere, world-building setting, the whole flapper, showgirl thing towards the beginning, I really enjoyed. As it went on, I lost all love I had for this book as it went on. The plot and the pacing just absolutely fell apart. Once Olive got engaged, the plot I don't know what happened. I don't know what happened. I don't know where it went. I did not like it. The ending felt incredibly rushed also, like wildly rushed. Olive never learned anything. She never learned a goddamn lesson. She just was a fucking idiot flailing through life up until the very end, and I could not stand her. And yeah, I was having a pretty good time for my enjoyment up until about 40 or 50%. I was enjoying myself. I was having a good time. And then it started to fall off the rails, and then the final 20% I basically hated. Just where we ended up, I don't want to give spoilers. Again, go watch the other video that's more in depth if you care. Yeah, I just kind of hated it. What in the flying fuck? There was harmful messages, in my opinion, regarding adoption. I'll try not to spoil anything, but like I said, not a spoiler that she did give a child up for adoption. And throughout the book, she keeps being very, very negative about herself for having given a child up for adoption. And I understand that that is a very realistic thing, that, you know, people who give up a baby for adoption can feel guilt and feel bad about it, and the always wondering, hoping that they're doing well, because you don't really know, right? And I get all of that. That's very realistic. But she was like hateful about it and kept saying, like literally saying that she was a bad person with an evil heart for giving this baby up. And she just kept saying stuff like this. And I'm, as the reader, expecting that at some point we're going to have a scene at least where like someone challenges this way of thinking for her. Someone consoles her. Someone gives her a life lesson of, you were young and you were in no position to raise a child. You did the best thing for the baby. Stop beating yourself up about this. Or maybe talking to someone who was given up for adoption and saying, I'm so glad my mother did that. She saved me. I had a wonderful life. Something, some kind of challenge to this idea that we kept being presented with of, you're a terrible person if you give a baby up for adoption. That never happened. That never happened. The prevailing message of the book, from my interpretation, by the end of it was, that was a bad thing that she did, and there's a resolution that happens that just felt very cheap, and again, kind of problematic. Like, if I knew someone who had given a child up for adoption, or was given up for adoption, or knew someone who gave a child up for adoption, and like had feelings about that, I would honestly be like, don't fucking read this book, because you'll probably feel negative things about it. So don't. So yeah, and then just the message too of like independence and like giving everything up for a man. I'm not saying that people can't change their life goals. I think that's very realistic. Someone might, when they're young, think they want to get married and have a family, and then later be like, nope, I don't. Or vice versa. They might think, I want to do my own thing and blah, 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 and like be totally by myself and solo. And then eventually, or like, I want to live this extravagant entertainment life. But then they do meet someone that changes that, or they just grow and later are like, actually, I kind of do want to settle down. That's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. But I didn't like how it was handled here. 2.5 stars for this book. And that might be kind of generous, honestly. I was ranting to Ingrid, my bestie, and she hasn't even read it. I just was like, I have to like scream about this fucking book. I'm so annoyed. And then another one that I DNF'd, that I bought, Mary Jane by Jessica Anya Blau. This one, the writing style I thought was good. I enjoyed it. I wasn't mad at anything happening necessarily. It was perfectly fine. But the premise of this one is, immediately I was like, this is not at all like City of Girls. It's a novel about a 14-year-old girl's coming of age in 1970s Baltimore, caught between her straight-laced family and the progressive one she nannies for, which happens to be secretly hiding a famous rock star and his movie star wife for the summer. Okay, so it's a girl babysitting this little girl in this like wild hippie household, and her family is very waspy, and also content warning from what I read for the heavy anti-Semitism. Like, my God, the things they say about Jewish people. And I mean, it's her parents, and the girl herself is like, kind of like, what? Why are you guys saying this stuff? Like, that doesn't sound true. She's questioning it, so I wouldn't say that the book itself is like problematic, because it didn't seem like the book was presenting this as like, this is how you should think. It was very much like, these people are shitty, and they're wrong for thinking this, but still, just a warning for that. But yeah, I ended up DNFing at 31%. I was just kind of bored a little bit, and then there was like this repetitive thing happening where this girl, because her mom was like little Susie homemaker, so the house was spotless, she cleaned every day, and so this girl's going to this house to nanny, where shit is just chaos. Chaos in the streets, chaos in every room, chaos in the refrigerator, and oh my god, I did not need more scenes of them cleaning out things. We kept, and like describing, it was like 2.5 pages of like cataloging everything that was in the refrigerator and whether they kept it or not. And this was after they cleaned like this other thing and they cleaned this. I'm like, I don't give a shit about all the things they're cleaning out. My God. So yeah, I just was like, I'm done. 31%. And then the other one that I completed recently was a NetGalley e-arc that I did an individual review for, which again, I think should be up already. I don't really know. I don't know when I'm putting it up, but I should wait to put it up until closer to the release date, which is March 7th. But I loved this book so much. The Adventures of Amina al-Sarafi by Shannon Chakraborty. Yeah, I was very surprised with how much I liked this. I put it on my like 5-star predictions, hopefully, like with much hope, but it is also like a pirate seafaring story. So I really was like, am I gonna like this? The whole synopsis here, well, I don't know if I'll read the whole synopsis, but says, new trilogy of magic and mayhem on the high seas in this tale of pirates and sorcerers, forbidden artifacts and ancient mysteries, in one woman's determined quest to seize a final chance at glory and write her own legend. And yeah, we're following Amina al-Sarafi. She has a storied and scandalous career as one of the Indian Ocean's most notorious pirates. She has survived backstabbing rogues, vengeful merchant princes, several husbands, and one actual demon to retire peacefully with her family to a life of piety, motherhood, and absolutely nothing that hints of the supernatural. But when she's tracked down by the obscenely wealthy mother of a former crewman, she's offered a job no bandit could refuse: retrieve her comrade's kidnapped daughter for a kingly sum. The chance to have one last adventure with her crew, do right by an old friend, and win a fortune that will secure her family's future forever? It seems like such an obvious choice that it must be God's will. Yet the deeper Amina dives, the more it becomes alarmingly clear that there's more to this job and the girl's disappearance than she was led to believe. For there's always risk in wanting to become a legend, to seize one last chance at glory, to savor just a bit more power, and the price might be your very soul. So that's the setup. Obviously historical. It is set in the same kind of larger world as the Daevabad trilogy. It's obviously in a different part of the world, over the Indian Ocean area. And this one is set in like the 12th century. And then the Daevabad is set in, I believe, the 18th century. I said it in the other video. But it's like same kinds of supernatural, mythological creatures and beings and lore, etc. But yeah, spoiler alert, I fucking loved this. Characters were so great, such a fun group, a found family group, this crew. Also, there's a cat named Payasam that I love. Oh my god. And Amina is like a 42-year-old mother, and it was cool following a character like that as well, a main character. All the main characters are older, middle-aged-ish. And the world building, oh my god, so good. Shannon Chakraborty just is so efficiently descriptive. Not overly descriptive, not waxing poetic about things, but just like efficiently descriptive where I can see things. And I felt that way with the Daevabad trilogy as well. I was just absolutely gripped by it right away. The pacing was pretty quick pacing, I would say. Medium to fast, for sure, definitely not slow. It worked for me. I didn't think it was rushed, but there was also nothing pointless. Like, I'm serious, I don't feel like there was a single scene that did not need to be there. You know, sometimes even books you love, there might be a scene or a chapter that you're just kind of, it's like lags a little, where you're like less invested in it, you're like having less fun. None of that here for me. I loved every second of it, personally. Just so great. There was one thing with the plot that felt slightly convenient. There's like a magical island that we go to that just the getting there and who else is there that we see, and things that happened there did feel slightly convenient, but I didn't really care. I was here for a fun time and I was having a fun time. And it was just so engaging. Her writing style, I just thoroughly love. I ended up not actually loving the Daevabad trilogy as a whole. Plot stuff here and there, also a character that I just hate with a burning passion. But still, her, like, the world building and everything was great there as well. And then, like, this one, it's solidifying that I love her as an author. So that's fun. And I'm very excited. This is going to be a trilogy, and I cannot fucking wait. So yeah, my enjoyment, I obviously thoroughly enjoyed it, like 110%. And I just really didn't think I was gonna love it because of the piracy stuff. But we do like go on the open sea, but I don't know. I think my thing with not liking seafaring stuff is I don't like it when they like get overly descriptive with like, I saw someone on Twitter just generally talking about this kind of phenomenon, this thing, and I can't remember exactly how it was worded, but it was basically like, oh great, I'm at the part of the novel where the author clearly had to learn about this topic and now I have to also. You know, where you're like, okay, I get it. We're on the ship and here's all the description of all the ship parts and what we do on the ship and we're in a storm and here's how we handle the storm and grabbing the fucking thing over here and pulling it this way and to that direction and then man the sails and all this shit, and I can't stand it. Not the case here. It did not bother me ever at all, which is a good sign because I can't stand that shit usually. And yeah, five fucking stars. Loved this book so much. I cannot wait for it to come out. But okay, that's the books. That's all the books for now. Leave a little emoji if you just want to say hello, of course, or leave a comment if you have any thoughts on any of these books. And as always, thank you so much for your time. Hope you all have a wonderful day, and I will talk to you later. Bye-bye.